Okay, so we got a new open source and local AI model from Cohere Labs called TinyAI. So this model is, well, it's very small. It is only about 3.35 billion parameters. So it is something that you can quite easily run on your mobile phone or your laptop. But despite being small, this AI model covers over 70 languages. And this is quite significant because the closest model that I could imagine that is also open source and can be used for translating content is the Translate Gemma from Google. So this is a model that I have talked about, I think about a month ago, but this model is only support 55 languages. So it is good, but when it comes to the quantity, I think TinyAI is still the winner here. And it also has some other variants. So there is the base model, there is also the global, there is also the fire, earth, and water, I believe. So that's kind of strange. They have a different variation with very creative names. But basically, each model is very good at a particular language or region. So let me give you one example. So the model, I think the model fire is good for South Asia. So if you are using the fire model, which is the variation from TinyAI, that model is very good for the South Asia languages. I think there is a matrix. Okay, this is the graph. So basically there is the TinyAI fire, earth, water, and global. So the global is the one that is trying to be very good at every region. But if you want to focus on a particular region, then you can choose either water, earth, or fire. But there is also the base model, which is even bigger. But basically, again, if you want to focus the model to be very good at certain languages, then I do recommend to just use any of these three variants. Now, according to their own benchmark, this model is apparently better than Gemma 3, Qwen 3, and small LM 3. However, I'm kind of wondering why they are comparing this model with Gemma 3, because Gemma, Google has Translate Gemma, which was based on the Gemma 3 model. So I think it's not exactly fair to compare TinyAI with a regular Gemma 3. So that's not the best comparison, but that's beside the point. This is still a good model if you want to have a local translation capability on your device. It is also very lightweight. You can run it with just maybe 8 gigabytes of video memory on your computer without any problem. So let me show you how you can download and run this model on your computer, and then later I'll try to compare this model with the Translate Gemma model from Google. So if you want to use this tool, I do recommend to use AI tool called LM Studio. You can navigate to lmstudio.ai and you can download the program to your computer. And after that, you can install the program normally, launch it, and to download the TinyAI model, you can navigate to this menu called Discover Model or Model Search and type TinyAI. There you go. So there are some options. So there is the options from Cohere Labs, but there's also some other variants that were quantized by other people, other very smart people out there. So they have their own variations. But here I do recommend to just use the ones that were created or published by the Cohere Labs company. So there is the earth, fire, water, and global variation. I don't see the base model from Cohere Labs, but that's fine. Now let's say if you want to use the global version, just select global, and then here you can choose the variation or the level of quantization for the model. There is Q4, Q8, BF16, and F16. So basically, this is just the level of compression, and if you want to get the best quality, I do recommend using either F16 or BF16 because that's just the most pure version of the model. But if you're okay with slight compression in return, you will get a faster performance, then you can use the Q8 version. So that's the one that I use. Just select the model and then you can click download. Now here I have downloaded the model to my computer, and I'm going to try to compare it with Translate Gemma. So I'm going to close this, and okay, this is LM Studio, and I guess I'm going to open a sort of comparison window, and I guess we are going to compare these two models together with ChatGPT. That's going to be very interesting. Okay, so I'm going to open this with ChatGPT. Let me just minimize everything. Okay, so this is LM Studio, and next to it is basically a window of ChatGPT. So I've done some testing on ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a much bigger model. I think it has hundreds of billions, if not trillions of parameters. So it has no problem translating lots of different languages. So these are examples, and I would say they are quite accurate. I tried this on Cloud AI, on Perplexity, and the answer is more or less the same. So I think the answer from ChatGPT is quite accurate. Now I'm going to use the same prompt, the same request on TinyAya and Translate Gemma. So here, I guess I'm going to run both models at the same time on LM Studio. Let me just navigate to developer, and then I will start load model. Okay, this is Translate Gemma. And I'm going to load another model, which is TinyAya Global. So that's the global version. Okay, now I have two models loaded into my GPU. I'm going to close this. Let me just navigate to the main screen. And I'm going to open a split window so we can see two models side by side. There you go. Okay, so this is going to be using Translate Gemma, but this one is going to be using TinyAya. Okay, now I'm going to copy this. Let me just send that to Translate Gemma. Okay, so again, this is from ChatGPT. It says artificial intelligence technology is changing how people live and work around the world. And I would say it's the same. Climate change is one of our greatest threats in our planet, and yet I think it's very much accurate. It's not exactly the same word for word, but I would say the meaning is still more or less the same. And yeah, I would say Translate Gemma can do these languages just fine because they happen to be supported in the model. And I believe TinyAya has no problem using or trying to translate this question or these languages into English. Okay, yep, it's very much the same. It's very close. Okay, let me just try the second test. This is a slightly more difficult language. Okay, according to ChatGPT, it says the digital revolution has profoundly changed consumption and communication habits on a global scale. Okay, it is not the same, of course, but again, the meaning is still more or less accurate or identical to the one from ChatGPT. So I would say Translate Gemma has no problem with this second test. Now, how about TinyAya? Okay, it is, well, it's the same as well. Yep, it's pretty good. Okay, so it has no problem. Translate Gemma and TinyAya are basically working without any issue. But I have another test that I don't think Translate Gemma can handle well because it has some languages from Africa that I don't think Translate Gemma can handle because again, it supports 55 languages, whereas the TinyAya has 70 plus languages in its model. So that's quite significant. Okay, so this is another test. I'm going to send it. And let's see. What is the answer from Translate Gemma? Okay, here, according to ChatGPT, the translation is technology is changing the world in many ways. In Translate Gemma, it says technology is playing a significant role in modern society. It's okay, it's not the same, but pretty close. Okay, so education empowers people and opens doors to new opportunities. But this, well, I don't think this is the same. So this is basically just AI hallucination. It is trying to translate the content even though this is not accurate. This is not it. It's not able to translate the language. And this one, educators play a strong or important role in shaping people's life through education. But in Translate Gemma, it says teachers play an important role in shaping their lives of students. I would say this is more or less the same. It's just a bit more concise. So yeah, it is not able to translate this particular language, at least in this test. So it's just not very good for this particular language. But other than that, I think Translate Gemma is just doing just okay. Now, how about TinyAya? I haven't tried this, so I'm just curious if this model can handle it. Okay, technology is transforming the world in many ways. That's pretty good. Education liberates people and opens doors for new opportunities. Yep, that's basically the same. And this one, educators play a vital role. Okay, that's the same thing. So as you can see, it's actually better. It is better than the Translate Gemma model because again, it supports more languages in its training data. And as you mentioned, it has multiple variants, so you can choose the one that you think is more appropriate based on your need. And also, I do notice that apparently Tiny Aya is a bit faster. It is spewing 75 tokens per second, whereas Translate Gemma is only about 60. It is not a huge gap, but it's still something to look for. So that's basically how you can download and run the Tiny Aya model on your computer. And I suppose you can use this model as a sort of local Google Translate that is quite hardware friendly. You can run it on your laptop, and perhaps in the future we can get this model on a mobile phone. So that's how you can download and use the Tiny Aya model and run it on your computer. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.